Hi, my name is Akhilesh Srivastav and today I am going to show you how to create a mobile application using Ionic Framework, HTML5 local storage and Phonegap. So to begin with, we first need to download Ionic Framework from ionicframework.com. So once you have downloaded the framework, you will get the following files. So you will get a CSS file. So these are all the CSS styles which is required by the framework, some fonts, and so the Ionic framework requires AngularJS. So this Ionic bundle.js file contains Ionic.js, AngularJS, AngularRoute.js, and other JS files which is required by the framework. So now let's jump and start building our application. So let's start creating HTML5 document. So we will specify the doc type. Let's specify the character set of our document. So it would be UTF-8. Let's define a title. Oops, it should be meta name is equal to viewport. So since it's a mobile app, we don't want our user to zoom our application, so we can achieve that by specifying the viewport settings. Okay, so now let's include the framework files. So we will first include the CSS. I am not very well in typing, so please be with me in that. Okay. So now we will call our application as Todo. So we will specify as ng app equals to Todo, and we will assign one controller to it. So we will be defining this controller later. Okay. So now let's create a header. Okay, so now let's give a title to it. So we will call our app as to do task. So we can achieve this by specifying the h1 tag. Okay, on our header bar we want to specify two buttons, that is one for deleting the task and another for reordering them. So we will be working on that functionality later, but as of now we will go ahead and create the two buttons. Okay, so here we are creating two buttons. So when we click on the delete button, we want to hide the reorder button, and when we want to click on the reorder button, we want to suppress the delete button. So we can achieve that by creating two variables, and while we click on one button, we will actually suppress the another button. So to achieve that, on click we would say data dot show delete, so here we are actually on click of this delete button, we are just making this show delete variable as true and show reorder variable as false. Okay, now the same thing we have to do for reorder button. The only thing that we have to reverse this logic. So I will call it button and I will change the icon. So here I will call it ion arrow move. And then I will say show delete equals to false and show reorder is equal to true. So I will just negate that. It seems like I have added one extra icon class, so I will go ahead and remove that. Okay, now we will go ahead and create the contents of our application. So we will be using ion content to place all our contents. Okay, so we will be using list to display all the tasks. So we will be using the Ionic Framework list control. And here also we will apply the same logic for showing and hiding delete or reorder button. So we will create this variable. So on show delete we are creating this variable show delete, and on show reorder okay. Okay, now we will use ng item to display all our tasks. Okay, so we want to display no task when there is no saved task, and when tasks are available, we will loop over through all the available tasks and we will display on the list control. So we can achieve that by using an item. And then we will use ng repeat. Okay. And we will display the task name here. Okay, so this is how we display in Angular using this curly brackets. So now with this task we want to associate three buttons, that is the delete, edit and reorder. So we will first create the delete button. And on click of this button we will call on item delete function that we will be creating later. And here we will pass task ID. Okay, now we will go ahead and create an edit button. And on click we will call on item delete function. And here also we will pass the task ID. I will go ahead and copy the same. Okay, and now we will create the reorder button. So on reorder we will call move item function, and we will pass 3 arguments, that is task ID and from index and to index. Okay, now once we have created the content part of our application, now we will go ahead and create a model screen. So the thing is that we will create one model screen which will be used for adding new tasks. So we will go ahead and add that to our code. So to create a new model screen, we will say script id is equal to new task.html, so since it is Angular template, so we will pass the type, so it will be text ng template. Okay, and we will go ahead and close this script block. Okay, so since it's a kind of a new screen, so here also we will go ahead and add the header, footer and the contents part for this model window. So first we will go ahead and create the header bar. So before that we have to specify that it's a model window. So we can do that by specifying div class equals to model. Okay. Okay, now we will go ahead and specify the header. So I will say in header bar, and this time I will say define class as parse_table. And we will give one title, and we will call it as new task. Okay, and then we will also create one button which will be used to cancel this window. on click of this button we will call method close new task, so that again we will be going to define later. We will give the label of this button as cancel. Okay, now we will be adding the content section of this model window. So here we will again use ion content. Okay. So this model window will contain a form which will have one text box and a button which will be used for creating a new task. So we will go ahead and add a form. So on submit of this form we will call function create task. Here we will pass a task object. Create one text box. And we will give ng model as task.title. Okay, now we will add one button to this form. And we will give label as create task. Okay. Now we have created our model window. Now we will go ahead and add one footer to our application. Okay, and on the footer we will be creating one button which will be used to open a create new task window. So we will go ahead and create a button. So we want this button to appear on the right side of the screen. And on click of this button, we will call a new task function, which will be used to open our model window, which will be used for creating new task. Okay, and we will use icon class as a label of our button. Okay, so now we are done creating our screen for our application. So now we will go ahead and add the functionality to it. So we will go ahead and create a new JavaScript file, Angular module to it, and the name of our application is Todo. This application depends on Ionic. Okay, now I will go ahead and add our controller. So name of our controller is Todo controller. Before that, let's go and save this file. So I will call this file as todo.js. Okay. So in Angular, the scope variable is actually a link between our controller and the view, and we will also require Ionic model and Ionic pop-up. Okay, I'm sorry for my slow typing. Okay, now we will create one method, that is load task. So this will actually load all the tasks, or it will display all the tasks in our application. Okay, I will go ahead and copy it a few times. Okay, so here I have created my task model, which contains 3 tasks. So later we will plug this with the database, and we don't have to hard code all these tasks. We will get it from our local storage database. So that we will be seeing later part of this demo. So now we will call this method load task. So this, when the application will initialize, this load task will be called, and our tasks model will have all these task details. Now we will create and load the model window. So we can do that by using the following code. Oops, sorry. Okay. Now we will create our method new task. So this function will be used to show up this model window. Okay, now in the same way we will create the function to close this new task screen. So we'll call this function as close new task. Okay, so now we will create the create task function, which will be called when user tries to create a new task. So we will be adding the functionality for saving the task later. So as of now, it will just we will just create this function, which will be called when the user tries to save a new task. Okay, so in this method what we are trying to do is we will first save the task and then we will refresh our task list and then we will hide our new task window. Okay, now we will create the function which will be called when user tries to delete a task. So we'll call that function as onItemDelete. So before deleting a task, we want to take a confirmation from user. So we can achieve that by using Ionic popup. So we'll give the title as confirm delete and content as so if users chooses yes, so if this confirm returns true, then we will delete the task. So that functionality we will add later, and after that we will load the task. So okay. Now we will be creating the function which will be called when user tries to edit the task. So we will call that function as onItemDelete, onItemEdit. So here also we will be using Ionic prompt. So we can achieve that by using Ionic popup. Here also we will give title as update task and subtitle as enter new task. So once user inputs the new task name, so we will go ahead and update that. So that part again we will be doing later. So once we update a task, we will again reload the tasks. Okay, so now the last function which need to create is move item. So this function will be called when user tries to reorder the tasks. So this function will take 3 arguments, that is item, from index and to index. So currently this method will only reorder the task on the screen. It will not save to the backend. So but if you want, you can update this code, and you can also add a priority to your task, and then you can update the priority of your task as you reorder your tasks. Okay, so now we will go ahead and include this file from this HTML file. Okay, now we will keep our finger crossed so that there should be no typing errors. Oops, I got one issue. Okay, so there were few typing error in our application, so I would request you also to correct all those issues. So first of all, quote was missing in Ionic. The placement of curly bracket was incorrect in line number 46, and same in line number 53, and F was missing in confirm delete title. And we also have some issues in our index.html. So first of all, icon class was missing, and in data.showReorder it should be a dot instead of dash, so you can go ahead and fix this. And this class was incorrect, and one closing angular bracket was missing in iron header bar tag. So once we fix all this issue, we will get an application which looks something like this. So here we are seeing 3 tasks. This will create a new task. So adding a new task will not create a task because we still have to work on that functionality. So same goes for delete. Nothing happens. And when you swipe left, you get edit button and you can edit your task. And this will reorder our task. So now we have to add one Angular service which will take care of all storing of this task. So that service will be creating a HTML5 local storage database which will store all our task data, and we can also write functions which will edit and delete our task. So we will go ahead and create a service. Let's add a new JavaScript file and add a new Angular module. Todo.services. So we will use Angular factor method and we will call our service as SQL service. And we will be using Angular queue service. We will create few variables, private variables, which we will be using later. Okay, so first method we will create, that is createDB function. Before that, we will go ahead and save this file as todo.services. Okay, so our createDB function will actually create a local storage DB. So we will use try and we will say db equals to window.open database so the database name will be Todo app TodoDB, sorry. And then we will specify the size of the database. So now we will go ahead and create our task table. Okay, so now we have created this table task which contains two columns, task ID which is integer, obviously it should be not null, primary key, and it will be auto increment, and another column will be task name. And then we will catch for any errors if we might get while creating this HTML5 local storage database. Okay, now we will add set task function. To save the new task. We will define this promise query function later. So on success we will call this default result handler function, and if there is any error we will call error handler. So we will be defining this functions later. Now we will go and add del task method, so it will be called when user wants to delete any task. And it will accept task ID as an argument. I will copy the same thing here. I will just go ahead and change this query. Okay, now we will create update task function. I will go ahead, copy the same thing, and I will just I will rename it as update task. And update task function will accept two arguments, task name and task ID. Okay, now we will add get task function. So this function will actually fetch all the saved tasks. So I will again go ahead, copy this and paste it below and update this to get task. Okay. Now we will define our default result handler function. And it will accept argument as default. So I will copy the same thing here and I will just update task ID to task name. Okay. Okay. Now we will define our function default error handler. Okay, and now we will define our function promise query. Okay, now we will create functions which will be actually exposed by our service. So first function is setup. And which will return createDB. Go ahead and copy, and next function is set, which will accept one argument as task name, and it will return set task. Next function we will create is tell, and it will accept task ID. Okay, in the same way another function will be edit, and it will accept two arguments, that is task name and task ID, and it will return I will go ahead and copy update tasks function. Okay, and the last but not the least, the all function, which will return all the tasks. Okay, now we will go ahead and close the brackets. Okay, and I found there are few mistakes, so we don't require these two variables, and we have to surround that in quotes. We missed one comma here, and we missed E in delete. And what I noticed is this task is extra. Okay, now we will go in our todo.js and do the required changes. So apart from Ionic, we also need todo.services. And here we require SQL service. Okay, now the first thing we will call is SQL service.setup, and now we will rewrite this load task function. Okay, and now we will go and replace this with our set function. Okay, and in the same way we will replace this with our delete function. Okay, and in the same way we will replace this edit with SQL service edit method. Okay, now in our index.html we have to include this todo.service. Now, having done all those changes, we will reload our application. So here we have our finished application. So you can go ahead and add a new task. You say go to school. So you can go ahead and keep on adding as much task you like. If you want to delete any task, it will simply get delete, and if you want to edit, just type a new task. We can add few more tasks. Just to check our reorder functionality. So you can click on reorder button and you can reorder any task which you like. If you are using Chrome browser, then you can actually see where your data is being stored. So you can go to Chrome Developer Tools, and under the resource tab you will see Web SQL, and under that you can see our Todo DB, and once you click on the task, so here you can see all our tasks are being stored here. Okay, now we will go ahead and package our application using Phonegap. So I have already done that. So in my ADT I have already set up this application. So once you create a new Android application, you have to do following changes. So first you have to go to main activity.java, and then you have to add this following code. By default, when you create Android application, you automatically get one Java file, so you have to remove those code and you have to replace with that. And apart from that, you have to place all your code inside asset folder and www folder. So here I have already placed all the code, so you can see all the folders. I have the library folder, index.html, to-do service, and to-do.js. And apart from that, we also need to place Phonegap or Cordova. So here I have placed Cordova.js, and same thing we have to do. We have to also place Cordova.zar inside our lib folder. Having done all these changes, we also have to edit Android manifest.xml. So here we have to just add the permissions. So as of now, for this application we only need the write external storage permission. So having done all those changes, you can right click on the application and you can say run as Android application. So once you will do this, this whole application will be compiled, and then it will be installed onto the emulator. So I have already done that. So this is how our application will look in an emulator. So here also the same thing, you can click on the new task and add and keep adding your task. So one thing to notice that the emulator is a bit slow. So here it works pretty slow here, but once you have the APK file and once you install that on your Android phone, you will not see such kind of slowness in the application. So once you have done this, you can find the APK file inside the bin folder. So here is this first Ionic app.apk. So you can copy this file onto your device and you can install it. So this brings end of this session. Hope you might have enjoyed my session. If you have any questions, please leave your comments. Thank you.